My husband said he'd take our daughter to her dance class. I checked the location tracker out of habit and saw he was at a motel instead. When he walked through the door, I asked, "How was ballet?" He froze. My daughter ran in behind him crying because he left her at the studio with strangers. The next day, I made sure every parent in that class knew and filed for full custody before he even knew what hit him. We've been married for 9 years. Eric and I met when I was 27 and he was 30. We weren't some whirlwind romance. It was more like comfort. It felt safe. Normal. We both worked, we split bills, we had our friends, we watched Netflix at night and made grocery lists on Sundays. We weren't exciting, but we were solid. Or I thought we were. We bought a house in Spokane 5 years ago, right after I gave birth to Lily. She's 6 now. Sweetest kid you'll ever meet. Loves pink and glitter and cartoons with dancing cats. She also loves ballet, lives for it really. It's the only thing she's never gotten bored of. And I've done everything I could to support it. Eric never liked it. Said the classes were too expensive, the costumes were dumb, and what's she gonna do? Join the New York Ballet? But he wasn't cruel about it. Just dismissive. I figured it wasn't his thing and that was okay. I didn't need him to care, just to show up. When I started working late shifts on Thursdays, I asked him to take her to class. The studio is only 15 minutes away, and class lasts about an hour. Just enough time to grab a coffee and sit in the car. He agreed. Said, "Yeah, sure. I got it." For about a month he did. Or I thought he did. He'd come home after class, drop Lily off, and disappear into his garage to mess with his tools or check football scores. Nothing felt strange at first, except he stopped talking about the classes. When I asked how Lily did, he'd just shrug and say, "She danced. Same as always." He used to be more involved. He'd tell me about how she fell or nailed a move. But lately, nothing. I figured he was just tired or distracted. I didn't push. I should have pushed. Last Thursday, everything exploded. That day, work was rough. I had back-to-back meetings, a headache from too much caffeine, and I barely touched lunch. Around 5:45 p.m., I got a notification on my phone. Eric's location popped up. We still had the family tracker app. It wasn't anything creepy. We both agreed to keep it for emergencies or when one of us was traveling. I looked at it without thinking. He wasn't at the studio. He was at a Motel 6. My stomach went tight. I refreshed the map. Still there. Same spot. A motel right off the highway exit, next to a gas station and an old taco stand. I sat there staring at my phone, hands cold. I waited 5 minutes. 10. Checked again. Still there. I couldn't think straight. I closed my laptop, made some excuse to my coworker, and got in my car. Drove straight home in silence. When they finally got back around 7:15 p.m., I was sitting at the kitchen table pretending to scroll through my phone. Eric walked in first. Lily was a few steps behind him, sobbing. Like full-on, red-faced, shaky breath crying. Her ballet bag was slipping off her shoulder, her hair was messed up, and her face was blotchy. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "What happened?" I asked, already moving toward her. She ran into my arms and cried. "Daddy left. I didn't know where he went." I was scared. I looked at Eric. He wasn't looking at me. He looked like someone who'd been caught stealing. I asked him calmly, "How was ballet?" He froze. Didn't answer. I asked again louder. "How was ballet?" Lily was still sobbing into my shirt. Eric said, "She was fine, okay? I had to step out for a minute." "You left her? Alone?" "She was with her teacher. She was fine." "I didn't leave her in the street." "How long were you gone?" He didn't answer. "How long, Eric?" "I don't know. 45 minutes. Maybe an hour." I stared at him. I wanted to hit him. I wanted to scream. "You left our 6-year-old daughter at a studio full of strangers. And went to a motel. It's not what you think." "Then what is it?" Look, I messed up. I had a bad day. I needed some air." "You needed air, so you went to a motel? Do you think I'm an idiot?" He looked down. Said nothing. Lily started crying again. Mommy, I didn't know where Daddy went. I told Miss Jenna, and she called you, but you didn't answer. My phone had died. I didn't even know it.
It was in my purse the whole time.
When I checked later, I had 4 missed calls from the studio. That night, I didn't speak to Eric again. I took Lily upstairs, ran her a warm bath, and laid in bed next to her until she fell asleep. I slept on the floor beside her. Eric didn't try to come in. The next morning, I was done being quiet. I made a list of every mom I had contact info for from the dance studio, even ones I didn't talk to much. I texted them all the same message. Just so you know, my husband left our daughter at last night's ballet class for nearly an hour and went to a motel.
He didn't tell the teacher.
She didn't know where he went. Lily was crying when she came home. Please make sure your kids are safe. I added a screenshot of a location tracker. It showed his name, the address of the motel, and the timestamp. One mom replied instantly, "What? Are you serious?" Another, "That's disgusting.
I'm so sorry."
By noon, I'd spoken to Miss Jenna. She said Eric had said nothing about leaving, that Lily got upset and they were about to call 911 when he came back. That was it. That was all I needed. I called a lawyer that afternoon, started the paperwork for full custody. I also had my lawyer pull the motel's visitor log for the last 2 months. It wasn't easy, but with the right pressure and a $100 bill, they let me take a look. Eric had checked in 4 times in the past 8 weeks. Same room each time. Sometimes alone. Last time, he wasn't. The clerk said, guy had a woman with him last week. Blonde, tall. Came in around 6 p.m., left just before 7. The exact time Lily was left alone. I came home that night like everything was normal. Didn't say a word to Eric. He sat on the couch watching TV like nothing had happened. He had no idea what was coming. Eric found out about the text 2 days later. It was a Saturday morning. I was making Lily pancakes in the kitchen. She was humming some little tune she learned from ballet. It was peaceful for once. Eric came storming in, face red, holding his phone. What the hell did you do? I didn't even flinch. Want a pancake? Don't play games with me, he snapped. Half the dance moms are blowing up my phone, saying I'm a danger to kids, saying I abandoned Lily. You told them? I told them the truth, I said. If that bothers you, maybe you should have done something different. You ruined my reputation. I can't even walk into that place anymore. Good. You won't have to. You're not taking her anywhere ever again. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. He looked stunned. Then he said, You're seriously overreacting. I didn't abandon her. She was with a teacher. She's 6. You left without telling anyone. You disappeared to a motel with your side piece. Don't you dare call it overreacting. He started pacing the kitchen, rubbing his head like he was trying to come up with something that'd make it all go away. I didn't mean for this to happen, he said. It was just, I don't know. I wasn't thinking. No, I said. You were thinking. You made choices. Now I'm making mine. That was when I dropped the bomb. I filed for full custody. He froze like a statue. You what? Yesterday. The papers will come Monday. My lawyer will be in touch. You can't do that. We're still married. That doesn't stop me from protecting my daughter. He slammed his hand down on the kitchen table so hard Lily jumped. I pulled her into my arms and said, Go upstairs, baby. It's okay. She ran off. Her little feet on the stairs made me want to cry. I'm not going to let you take her from me, Eric said, his voice shaking. You already did that yourself. He walked out and didn't come back until the next morning. No clue where he went. I didn't care. Sunday night, I got a message from one of the moms, Bethany. She said she'd overheard something strange from her husband, who worked with one of Eric's friends at the fire department. Apparently, Eric had been lying about other things, too. Not just the cheating. He's been skipping work, she wrote. Told them he was watching his kid. My husband says he was nearly written up. So, he wasn't even working when he said he was. Just using Lily as an excuse to sneak around. That meant his job could be on the line, which meant instability. Which meant I had even more leverage in court. That Monday morning, I got the signed custody filing back from my lawyer. Emergency order request included. Because of endangerment. I also submitted all the texts, the screenshots, and a statement from Miss Jenna, who'd agreed to testify if needed. Eric came home to a process server knocking on the door. He didn't say a word. Just stared at the papers like he was reading something in another language. Later that week, I found out who the other woman was. It was someone I knew. Not well, but enough to make me want to throw up. Her name was Dana. She was one of the new ballet moms. Her daughter, Maddie, had just joined the class a few months ago. Dana was loud, always laughing too hard at nothing. She wore high heels to pick her kid up and once made a weird comment to me about Eric's strong arms. I'd brushed it off. I thought she was just being flirty in that gross, harmless way. Apparently, she wasn't harmless. She was the one he met at the motel. I found out because Bethany texted me again. You won't believe this. Dana hasn't shown up at ballet since last week. I think she's hiding. And get this, her husband filed for divorce. Just like that. So she was married, too. Turns out, her husband found out about the affair after I blew everything up with those texts. My message made the rounds fast. Some of the other moms showed their husbands, and one of them recognized Dana's car parked behind the same Motel 6 before. Everything unraveled fast. But it didn't stop there. Because 2 days later, I got a message from an unknown number. All it said was, "You made a mistake. You're not the only one who can play dirty." I stared at that message for a long time. My fingers hovered over the screen, itching to respond. But I didn't. I screenshotted it instead and forwarded it to my lawyer. She responded within minutes. Do not engage. Just keep everything documented. The number was unlisted, but I had a feeling who it was.
Dana.
I didn't think Eric had the guts to send something like that. Passive-aggressive was more his style. But Dana? I'd seen her type before. Plastic smile, claws behind it. She wasn't just playing house with my husband. She wanted to win. Only this wasn't a game. I was protecting my daughter. A few days later, Lily came home from school crying. I sat her on the couch and knelt down. What happened, sweetheart? She said, I'm not going to have a daddy anymore, Lily sobbed. Maddie said her mommy told her that your mommy's a liar and she's taking your daddy away. I felt my stomach turn. Dana was poisoning her own kid, and now that poison had spilled into mine's life. That night, I typed an email to the ballet studio, outlining the situation calmly but clearly. I attached every relevant screenshot and included contact info for my lawyer. I told them I wasn't asking for special treatment. I just needed them to be aware of the emotional toll it was taking on my daughter. They responded the next morning. Dana and Maddie were being temporarily suspended from the class due to ongoing issues causing disruption among students and parents. They said they'd reevaluate in a month. It felt like a win, but also sad. I didn't want the kids to suffer. I just wanted peace. That same day, Eric tried something new. He showed up at Lily's school. I had listed myself as the sole emergency contact after the custody petition, and I'd specifically stated he wasn't allowed to pick her up during the week without a scheduled visit. The secretary called me immediately. Ma'am, Eric is here trying to sign Lily out. Should we call the police? My heart started racing.
Yes. Please.
He doesn't have permission. I dropped everything and drove straight there. By the time I arrived, Eric was already in the back of a patrol car, sitting stone-faced. The principal met me out front. We didn't want to escalate things, she said. But after checking the court filing, we had no choice. I walked past him without saying a word. At home, I explained everything to Lily in simple terms. Daddy made a mistake trying to pick you up when he wasn't supposed to. But it's okay now. You're safe. I promise. That night, I got another message. Same unknown number. You're messing with the wrong family. Hope your job is stable, Mama. And just like that, things got worse at work. First, a client complaint came in, alleging I was unprofessional and rude on a call. But when I checked the log, I hadn't even been assigned to that client. Then someone reported me to HR for sharing confidential information, which I knew was false. My manager looked uncomfortable even bringing it up. I'm not saying I believe it, she said. But we have to log it. I stayed late that night, double-checking all my case notes, tightening everything up, backing up every document. And I made a decision. If Dana wanted to play dirty, fine. I'd go one step further. I hired a private investigator. 2 weeks later, he handed me a flash drive and a printed report. Inside were photos of Eric and Dana, at restaurants, parked in alleys, even entering a building I recognized. A side office that belonged to a small business Eric used to work part-time maintenance for. Except the business had closed a year ago. So, what were they doing in there? My PI had the answer. They'd been using it as a rendezvous spot. But there was more. He found out Dana had been claiming unemployment while also collecting money under a fake business named through Zelle.
Fraud.
It was all in the report. My lawyer's eyes lit up when she saw it. This is gold, she said. This isn't just about custody now. This is going to court in a big way. I was going to take them both down, legally and with proof. But before that, I had one more move to make. I sent Dana a message from my real number. Just one line. Hope you filed your taxes right. I hear the IRS doesn't like liars. The moment I sent that message, I knew there was no turning back. Dana read it instantly. No reply. But I imagined her face, eyes wide, jaw clenched, maybe her fingers trembling over the screen. She thought she could scare me into silence. Instead, I handed her the rope. The fallout came faster than I expected. 3 days later, a federal agent contacted my lawyer. Turns out my private investigator had connections. And the evidence we'd collected. Dana's fake business records, the unemployment fraud, the hidden location, was enough to raise serious flags. Dana was officially under investigation. Then came the knock on her door. Word spread through the neighborhood like fire in dry brush. One of the other moms texted me a blurry photo of Dana being let out in handcuffs. Her daughter wasn't with her. Child Services had already picked Maddie up. It gutted me a little, seeing that. Because as much as I hated Dana, I never wanted her kid to suffer. I asked my lawyer what would happen to Maddie. She'll probably stay with her dad, she said. Unless he's part of it too. But Dana's going to be tied up for a long time. What I didn't expect was what happened next with Eric. Once Dana was arrested, his world started crumbling. He got suspended from the fire department pending investigation. Apparently, he'd helped her access the abandoned office space and even vouched for the fake business to a few old co-workers. He wasn't just a cheater. He was an accomplice. My lawyer immediately filed to update the custody petition, this time asking the court to strip Eric of all visitation rights permanently. The judge reviewed the new documents and issued a protective order within hours. Eric was out. That night, he came to the house. He didn't knock, just stood on the lawn. I saw him from the kitchen window, hands in his jacket pockets, staring at the ground. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. You're not supposed to be here, I said. He looked up. His eyes were bloodshot, tired. He looked 10 years older than he did 2 months ago. I lost everything, he said quietly. You gave it away, I corrected. He nodded.
Yeah,
I did. I don't even know why. Silence. I thought I wanted something different, he continued. Dana made me feel alive again. She made me feel seen. But it was fake. All of it. I didn't respond. He swallowed. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I'm not the one who needs that, I said. It's Lily. I know, he said. Can I at least write her a letter? I paused. Leave it in the mailbox. I'll read it first. He nodded, then walked away. I watched him go. He looked like a man who'd finally seen the full cost of his lies. Weeks passed. Then months. The courts granted me full custody, sole legal and physical. Eric lost all rights. Dana was indicted on 4 counts of fraud, falsifying records, and abuse of public funds. Her plea deal involved restitution and up to 5 years in prison. I didn't celebrate. I just breathed again. Lily's better now. She's back in ballet, smiling more. I keep her world small and full of good people. I tell her the truth in small doses, enough for her age, enough to show her what love is and what it isn't. As for me,
I'm rebuilding.
it's not easy. Nights are still quiet and long. Sometimes I still sit by the window wondering how I missed the signs. How I let a man like that into our lives. But then I remember, I didn't just let him in. I also showed him the door. And I made sure it slammed behind him.